Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. Delighted to be with you today for another episode of our show. Who would know when we started this little mom and pop, just pop show 2 years ago, July was 2 years, that we would end up being kind of popular. I mean, there are a bunch of guys watching us live today, like they must not have anything better to do. Sorry about that, guys. Just couldn't help but give you a little dig there. The idea from this show is to prove the point once and for all that one guy with one PC can do one awesome broadcast. Now, I'm definitely one guy, and I promise I'm using just one PC. And, we keep working on the awesome broadcast part. I don't come from a broadcasting background, so everything is a fight and a struggle to learn new information and hopefully to pass it on to you so that you may not have to retread some of these steps that I'm treading in. Sometimes we get pretty complex with this stuff, sometimes pretty simple. Last week, we talked about how to stream two different streams, and they could go two different CDNs. Now, a CDN is a content delivery network. That's the company that you would have. If you're doing it for free, it might be a company like Ustream, or if you're paying for it, it might be a company like I use called Dacast, D-A-C-A-S-T, Dacast.com. And I send them my stream, and they send it out to you. Basically, they give me a little embed code that I can put on my website that turns into a player, and you can see my video and hear my audio. Sometimes you can hear it better than others, Jerry. But the idea is that you can distribute that information all over the world. Yeah, literally all over the world. The other thing is that you can use more than one CDN. So if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to stream a stream without ads on Dacast and put that on your website, but then you're hoping to get some drive-bys, some folks that are just sort of surfing around YouTube Live for what's on. So you might put your video on YouTube Live to try to capture some additional audience. That's a good ploy. A lot of folks do that, and I think it's worthwhile. But the trick is to be able to stream to two different CDNs at the same time. Well, that was last week's show. So if you'll go to Eastern Shore Broadcasting. I should know my own URL. EasternShoreBroadcasting.com, and go to the archives. You can see last week's show. In fact, I think it'll actually pop up there on the homepage for the VidBlaster show, that VidBlaster guy. And you can see how to do two CDNs at the same time, or to send two streams to the same CDN. Now, why would you want to do that? I don't know that we covered that as deeply as we could have last week. The reason why you might want to do that is so that your audience could have a choice of bit rates. Now, there was a question in the chat room just a little while ago about that, and they said, some of my viewers are complaining that the stream is buffering. Well, it may be buffering because their internet connection is not fast enough to receive your video download. And if you're streaming today, for example, our main feed, we're streaming video and audio at about, I think it ends up being about 1600 kbps. If somebody has a DSL, around here it's AT&T, and they've got a meg download, they're not going to be able to receive my stream without a lot of buffering. So one of the strategies that I use, and you might want to use too, is to have an alternative stream. In the past, our alternative stream has been the Dacast HTML5 stream. You can go to Dacast and find more information about that. And that, I think we're sending that one at like 425, something like that. A speed that almost anybody's home PC should be able to get. and that if you're watching us on a mobile device, it's not going to eat up all your bandwidth like a 1500 kbps download would. So we're trying to be a little, we're trying to conserve your resources so that you can watch every week. How about that? Anyway, and as for what YouTube does, you know, YouTube's got 3 or 4 or 5 sometimes different bit rates that you can choose from, and the higher the bit rate, the better the quality. And actually, they don't have it as bit rates; they have it as resolutions, but it does change the bit rate. And so, the lower the resolution, the lower the bit rate. The experimenting that I did today, that was a lot of fun. And if you tuned in early, you probably saw, you know, me doing all sorts of testing with this, that, and the other. And I think today we're actually, we're streaming 3 different streams right now. One of them is our flash stream that's going at 1500 that we just talked about. A second one is going to the HTML5 encoder, well, not encoder, to the HTML5 service from Decast, and they are re-encoding it for iOS devices. Actually, there are 2 streams going to HTML5. One of them is going at 800 kbps, and the other's going at 350. And if you, excuse me, if you happen to be watching on a PC on the HTML5 broadcast, you'll notice a little HD icon. Whoops, where is it? It would be right about there. Yeah, right about there. And that would indicate that you had a choice between different resolutions. Now, you know, HD, they just call it HD. Neither one of mine are high definition. One's 480, one's 180. And obviously the 180 is not going to use as much bandwidth. The way I did that is, and there are lots of different ways to do it. When I was testing it earlier, I was using Flash Media Live Encoder. Now, if you've been around internet broadcasting for any period of time, you've probably heard of Flash Media Live Encoder, FMLE 3.2 from Adobe. It's an orphan program. That is it. They're not supporting it anymore. They're not doing anything with it anymore. But it still works, and it still works great. And FMLE has the option to stream 3 different bit rates, 3 different resolutions. And my CDN Decast can take 3 different bit rates, 3 different resolutions. And so I kind of have to go to Decast to get some codes and put those codes into FMLE so that FMLE knows where to send each one of those 3 streams. So let me pull up the FMLE window, and we're actually going to do this live today. And let me configure it here just real quickly. And we'll do something else. And yeah, it's operating pretty slowly. That's all right. And we don't want that. And we need to get a screen capture of that whole window. So let's capture. Sorry about this, folks. Should have had this done ahead of time, but you know, can't do everything. No, that's not going to work. Let me try again. Bear with me just a second. There we go. That'll work. So we'll take that all the way down to there. Perfect. And this is what FMLE looks like. Let's see if we can't get the program responsive again. It got non-responsive for a second, and yeah, we're going to have to bomb out of that program. So 1 second, let's restart that one. I had it going prior to starting the show, and I must have done something to make it kind of bomb out. So we'll restart it. Flash Media Live Encoder 3.2, and forgive me for not being more prepared. I was putting together a video for the what do you call it, for the second show today, and that's the point at which I had problems. Okay, let's don't do that. Let's just go. Oh my goodness, what are we going to choose? That'll work. And bear with me. Sorry about this. You know, I should be more prepared than this. How amateur is this to do it like this? But, you know, you get what you pay for. Sorry about that. All right, let's see. Let's try this window. Okay, what we've got is Flash Media Live Encoder. And here on the left, and let's make these just a little bit smaller so they can be distinguished. The screen here on the left is the input window. The screen on the right is the output window. And obviously we're inputting, we're receiving the input and we're sending out the same input. And what I did was just simply change the sizes of those. Down below, we've got kind of the guts of Flash Media Live Encoder. This left-hand section is the video section. The center section is the audio section. And the right-hand section is the streaming section. Here in the left, my preset is set to custom because I've changed it a bunch of times. And my device right now, I'm just picking up the blue, excuse me, the color bars coming out of vMix. So we'll use that. And we're not going to worry about any of this other right here. We really want to go straight down to the bitrate portion. And you can see I've got two different bit rates selected. I've got 350K BPS and 800K BPS with an output size of the first one of 320 by 180 and 854 by 480 as the second output size. So basically I'm telling Flash Media Live Encoder to take this device input, the vMix Video External 2 in this case, and I hesitate to change it over to the VidBlaster one because I don't want to screw up what we're doing live, and basically encode that once at 350 and once at 800. And then here in the center, let's see, let's just change that to vMix Audio just to make it all consistent. We've got the ability to choose audio, and we can choose a really low bit rate if we want of just 18K BPS, and we want to max that out because we want to pass through all the audio. And then over here on the right is where we get into the specifics of what we're going to be sending. Now, in my case, what I did was I went to Decast, to the Decast website, and set up my stream for two different bit rates. And it allowed me to basically, it configured for me a XML file that I can load into Flash Media Live Encoder. So let me show you how I did that. We'll come back over here, take that off. We go into File, we'll go into Open Profile, and then I'll navigate to, let's see, I'll navigate to a XML file. Let's see, can I pull that in where everybody can see it? Yeah, there we go. I can navigate to, let's see, we're going to go to Recent Places, Downloads, Decast Video, VidBlaster guy with iOS. Yeah, we'll take that one right there. And if I open that, it's going to reconfigure what we just had. That's okay. We can put that back. But basically what it's going to do over here in the right side under the streaming side, it's going to put in the stream. Let's go back to that one right there. It's going to put in a stream with a particular coding in it to indicate that it's going to be two different streams. And it's picked up my Flash Media Server URL that you can get from Decast directly, or Decast in this case has built it into the XML file that I downloaded, and it's got the stream name. I'm not going to connect it here because I know I'm sort of pushing my bandwidth right now, and I don't need to eat up any more bandwidth. But if I was going to do that, and if I did have a legitimate stream up here that I wanted to stream to you guys, I would click connect, and then the verification part of Adobe Flash Media Live Encoder would pop up, and then I would put in the codes that Dacast had given me. That's sort of a username and sort of a password, although they don't really call it that. But it's sort of a secondary username and password, I guess probably what's needed to get it re-encoded by, is it Akami? Anyway, the folks that do their re-encoding for them. And then once that's done, I can press the start button down here at the bottom, and it will start out and send 2 different streams. And the neat part about that is that it sends both streams to the same player, and it allows the user at home to choose which one they want. Excuse me just a second. Goodness gracious, sorry about that. And so if you've got a situation where you've got some complaints, you may want to, for a couple of 3 shows, just set up a lower speed and make sure folks know that they can select that lower speed. Now, when I was testing it earlier, and let's go back to this picture for just a second, you can see, I don't know if you can see that small, but you can see that I've got the very first bit rate is set up as 350. The second bit rate is set up for 800. I didn't intend it in that order. That's just sort of the way it came out. But what I found out was that when I actually stream it to my PC, that it streamed the higher bit rate as sort of the default bit rate. And so folks would have to come down to the corner part right here to the HD part in order to select the lower resolution feed, which would be the lower bandwidth feed. Now, in my testing today, I noticed I tested this on a desktop and a laptop and on my Android phone. And on the phone, the bit rate and the resolution option was not available. So for folks watching on phones, and I'll do some more testing with this, but folks watching on phones, if you're sending them 2 different or 3 different streams, they're going to get the highest resolution one, I think, and they'll have to. And at this point, it doesn't look like there's a way for them to get the lower resolution one. So I'll continue to work on that and find out the answer. I also know that Dacast has got a new player out that is in beta, and it apparently doesn't dynamically resize to meet the screen yet. And so I was having some problems with that because the video wouldn't play at all if it was too big for the screen. It's funny, the audio would play, but the video wouldn't play. But video is not important. Anyway, that was the way that I had done that with Flash Media Live Encoder, and virtually anybody. I mean, you can get Flash Media Live Encoder for free. It is a very good encoder. It's a little heavy on the CPU usage side, especially if you're doing high def stuff, but you can't beat free. Now, if you're interested in something that's not free, something that you're going to have to pay for, then you can come to VidBlaster, and the new beta streamer uses FFmpeg. Well, actually, FFmpeg is free too if you know how to manipulate it on command line format, or you could probably download one of their free GUIs for the front end of FFmpeg that allows you to basically set up the well, pretty much like Flash Media Live Encoder, set up the streaming coordinates and components. The plus with VidBlaster now is that FFmpeg is built in, and that you can set the FFmpeg settings through VidBlaster. Not all of them at this point, but a representative sample of them at this point. And as the beta testing continues, the promise is that that will allow at some point to do multiple streams from within inside VidBlaster. That is going to be really, really cool. The benefit will be that it all happens inside one program, and you can make all your adjustments inside one program. And it's kind of like having an office with the staff, and you've got 5 people on staff, and you tell one person what to do, and then tell them to tell the next person what to do, and tell them to tell the next person to tell the next person what to do. And by the time it gets to the 5th person, it's not anywhere close to what you intended. And that's how it is when you're working with multiple pieces of software to achieve one purpose of streaming and recording. But to be able to have it all in one place at one time, that's like an office of one person. Communication is not an issue because everything happens internally. And, in my case, if I don't get it right, it's my fault. And that's the product that VidBlaster, I think, is moving towards, where you can stream, you can record, you can stream to multiple CDNs, you can stream multiple streams to the same CDN. I think it's going to be really cool to see how VidBlaster comes and grows on that. By the way, full disclosure, should have mentioned this at the very beginning of the broadcast. I am an authorized VidBlaster reseller, so you can buy VidBlaster from me. Go to that VidBlasterGuide.com, and you can go to the store and buy it. Or if you want an upgrade, you can get that from me too. Notice here in the chat room, Andrew, appreciate that the cast only allows the HTML5 streams to have multiple streams, and that their Flash service from Edgecast does not allow multiple streams. And I can confirm that as being true this morning, because I tried that for quite a while and wasn't able to get it to work. So I guess that's the case. Let's see what else we've got. Got some good questions in the chat room, but we'll hold those over to our second segment. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in with us today. That the 30 minutes has just flown by. If you've got some questions and you think I can help, Tom at thatvidblasterguide.com. I'm happy to answer questions about streaming in general or VidBlaster in particular. If you're a VidBlaster registered user and you bought it somewhere else besides me, number one, you shouldn't have done that, but that's okay. Number two, if you'd like to get support from us, you can actually buy a support package, either a one-time support package for $20 or a lifetime support package for $100. And those are in our store too at thatvidblasterguide.com. So we'd be happy to help you. And we help folks that are, just have a one-time need. If it's just a quick email and I can answer it in an email or two, it won't be any charge. If it's a single item, but it turns out to be a little bit more extensive, we'd ask you to buy the smaller package. So until next time on that VidBlaster guy, I hope you have a lot of fun with streaming, and that you experiment a little bit, that you play around, that you push the envelope and see what you can do. Don't do it 5 minutes before a broadcast. I've tried that. That doesn't work very well. But play around. Take a few minutes and pull out and say, I wonder if, and see if you can answer your own question. If you make some good discoveries, let me know. We'd love to demonstrate them here on the show. So I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. Until next time, we'll see you later. Oh, and if you're watching us live, hang around. We've got refreshments here in the intermission. Talk to you soon. Bye now.